Welcome to the Disability Adventures podcast. I'm Andrea Anderson.
And I'm Chip Dodd from Team Disability.
All right, here we are. We have a special guest on the Disability Adventures podcast. We are here with Santiago Lopez, or Santi, as he's known by a lot of folks. He is the race director of the Huairasinchi adventure race in Ecuador. Hopefully I pronounced it correctly, or at least close.
You pronounce it perfectly.
Perfect.
It's taken a long time. I think that we did the race in 2021 and it took us like the whole race long to be saying it correctly. And that's with, some guidance from Louis Bekdash, who was with us and has raced your race many times. Yeah.
Yes.
It's not an easy word. It's Quechua. We can go through this later, but yeah, it's a beautiful word. I can tell you why we came up with this one.
Well, let's go ahead and get into that now, just because you're talking about it, because I had forgotten about the Quechua, the different dialects.
Well, we started with this in 2003, so a long time ago, probably 20 years ago. And Huairasinchi actually is two words. It's Huayra, which is wind, and Sinchi is the strength, this is strong. So if you put them together, it's the strength of the wind. And it comes, from an experience that we had a few months before the race, and we were looking for a name of the race, and we were on the top of the mountains in the highlands, and the wind was really strong. So it was in our heads, and when we were thinking about the name of the race, of the event, it was like, okay, the strength of the wind. And it came up in Quechua, and I think it is difficult to pronounce, but it's beautiful. Huairasinchi. And some people just say Huayra. A lot of people just call it Huayra. And yeah, it's how it is. It's a love brand now.
Well, when we did the race in 2021, I think one of the very first checkpoints, we decided that it was aptly named because we were at a really high point and it was so windy. I couldn't believe how strong the wind was. I thought, oh, that's why it's named that.
Yeah, it felt like you're on top of Mount Everest. I mean, the CP was just perfectly horizontal flapping. I can't believe it even held on. The wind was so strong. So yeah, a good name.
Yeah, cool.
And then, and just real quick, you said Quechua, right? It's not Spanish, right? This is the native language prior to Spain coming in.
Yeah, Spanish is the native language now. But before, we had many tribes, many cultures, many ethnic groups around Ecuador. We actually have around 19, if I'm not wrong, 19 dialects, different dialects. So even in the Amazon, in the rainforest, this is a small country, but if you go to the rainforest, you can find people speaking Shuar, Quechua, Ashuar, Wow, Tetero. Well, there are many languages around. So it is interesting how we get through this. Most of the people speak Spanish, but in some cases, some people just speak Quechua, which is probably the second biggest language here in Ecuador. So it's a beautiful language. We know some words. I don't speak Quechua, but I think that it's nice to have two languages here in the country. Yeah. It talks a lot about the culture. We have a lot of culture and a lot of the experience of the racers, especially when you are en route during the race. You're gonna see a lot of different people, and some of them probably are not speaking Spanish either. They don't speak Quechua, so it's very interesting. It's very nice.
Yeah, when we came in 21, the lady that had the Airbnb, I mean, she spoke a lot of languages, but in her house, like at the sink, there would be the word for sink, not in Spanish, it was the Quechua. And so everywhere you went in her house, it was like being in kindergarten where everything's got a label on it in that language. Like she wanted to really educate people on it. So it's fun. This is the fun of traveling internationally for adventure racing. It's not just about the race. It's about experiencing the culture and meeting the people and learning all of this type of stuff, which is just fascinating.
And through her and your organization, it seems like there's a great respect for the native people there. So that was really neat to see. So, okay, that's skipping way ahead. So where we really wanted to start is how you got into adventure racing. I know the Huairasinchi has been around for a long time. Have you always been the race director? And did you race before that? How'd you get into it?
It's interesting. We had Raid Galois. Probably some people that are listening to us can remember this race. It was a big, big one. And it was in 1998, and it came to Ecuador. And it was not broadcasted, not even in the news. It was made just for foreigners. We just had one team because they wanted to have one Ecuadorian team in the roster, and it was amazing because it crossed the Andes and they finished in the coast, pretty similar to what we did in the World Champs in 2014. And this experience was interesting because we went with some friends and we went to Cotopaxi to see how it was managed. We were just curious. We were pretty young at that age. I was 18, and it was on helicopter that a French company brought this helicopter by probably ship, and with the pilot, because it was the only helicopter that was able to fly over Cotopaxi just to give safety to the teams. So it was just mind blowing. Can you imagine? I was 18 years old. We never saw something like that before. So it was something that marked myself. In when I was at the university with an outdoors club that we had, we decided to have an adventure race. And the response was unbelievable because we had 35 teams the first year, the first edition of Huairasinchi, and mostly with people from the military forces, with the firefighters, the police department, and all of them just wanted to do this crazy race. And it started like that 20 years ago, and now we're gonna have the second world championship.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's awesome.
There's probably not many organizations that have hosted 2 world championships.
Not many. Yeah, I can remember Spain, Australia, and I think that's it. I
If
think
I
that's
remember
it.
correctly, you're one of the longest running races too. I mean, it's been 20 years. There's not many races that have gone on for 20 years straight, right?
No, not really. There's only a bunch of races around, but it's not a big field of races, of adventure races in the world. And we've been around for a long, long time now. So I'm pretty sure that this is the longest, the race with more editions in the history of the sport. Yeah.
Wow, that makes me so excited to come do it. And we are going to come to the World Championships in November. So maybe we should skip ahead to some more specifics about the race coming up.
Sure.
So tell us, how long it is. I know it's on your website. It talks about an adventure length and an expedition length. So tell us about the length first. And
yeah. And it's interesting that we have this division of these 2 categories. We took the decision of building up, a strong field of young people and new people, since the beginning. So we decided to create a small category, a shorter category, just to motivate people to get into the sport. And I think that it has worked pretty well because there's some people that is probably frightened of the long distance because it's too long, because they don't have the time, because they don't have the experience. So a shorter race motivates a lot of people, a big group of people who wants to doing this forever, for the 20 years. And now in the World Champs, we want to give this opportunity also to the teams that doesn't want to do the whole full course race. So there's this adventure category, which is half of the race. The long one is going to be 700 kilometers, and the short one is going to be 350. So yeah, half of the days, half of the distance, same experience, same start line. So I think that a lot of people here, especially here, locals, are very motivated about it. And I have talked with some teams from Colombia also, who are also very interested in coming for the short one, because the short one is still long. I mean, 350 Ks is like a normal Huairasinchi is what we do as a normal full course race. So it's still a pretty long race. It's a challenge, but it's for some people it's doable. They imagine that it's doable. I really prefer the long distance ones. I don't know if it is my age, but I like to do it slowly, take my time, know that I have 8 days to finish. So it's just my opinion, but some people they think, they have in their mind that they want to do the full course race and that 4 days sounds better than 8.
Good. One of the things I love about the really all the big international races, but the World Championship specifically, we've only done two. We did Paraguay and we did Africa. Is the pomp and circumstance leading up to the race? It seems like it's over the top with the culture and the music and the celebration, the flag parade. Are you able to leak any of that on just what can we expect the excitement to look like leading up to the start line?
Oh, wow. Yeah, I just dream every night about this because it's one of the most exciting moments, when all the teams get together and the flag parade. Um, I really love the actual culture, the owners of the land to express themselves and to invite the racers to their land. That's probably what we do normally. We try to, when we talk to the communities around, we try to invite them so they can invite the racers to their field, to their land. So what they do is they have different types of celebrations. Some of them sing, some of them dance, some of them make a trivial I don't know how to say it, but it's very interesting. In every culture, in every ethnic group, they have the different forms of doing this. And I think that we will have something very unique. Cuenca, which is the headquarters and the host city of the race, is full of cultural groups. Is in the south of Ecuador, close to Peru too, and it's very, very rich. It's very unique. It has a lot of connection with the Incas too, because the Incas from Peru came first from the south. So there are Inca trails around, and the culture is just so rich that you can expect a lot of things. We are gonna do an amazing job over there.
So I want to get back to just a few more details of the race. What modalities are there going to be? What disciplines? And what does anyone need to know ahead of time? Like any certifications or any specifics about that?
Well, the most important thing probably is the backraft. The backraft is the inflatable boat that you can carry in your backpack. And it has to be a two-person backraft. So each team has to have two backrafts. We're going to have some water sections, and these water sections don't expect, class 3 or 4. We are not doing that. We are doing 2, probably class 2 plus in the maximum, because we want you to experience the beautiful rivers that we have, but not to be in danger, and not. We don't want you to have to take a class, of whitewater, even though I think that it is important to know how to manage the backrafts in whitewater, even if you are doing a class 2 river, but it's not so technical. And yeah, you can expect that. I think that backrafts are going to be one of the most important sections, most beautiful ones too. But you can expect also beautiful treks in jungle, treks in mountains. One of the most beautiful things here in Ecuador is that you can have a lot of diversity from the difference of altitude. It's a small country, but we have the Andes just in the middle of the country. So if you go down to the coast or to the Amazon, you're going to experience a lot of difference in climate and weather, humidity, and you can go from close to 0 degrees, probably Celsius, to 30 degrees during the midday with a humidity of 70% in the same day. So it is incredible how fast it changes just because you move from one place to the other, and in which environment, in which ecosystem you are traveling through. So the rainforest is pretty humid. Obviously, it's a rainforest, so it rains a lot. And the coast probably is a little bit more dry, in the coast area. In the highlands, you're going to see beautiful grass fields covered with páramo. We call it páramo. The highlands are with this beautiful, well, actually, it's pretty unique and diverse. You just see like yellow everywhere, but if you see pretty close, you can see many types of different flowers in the ground. It's very, very diverse. It's super diverse, and animals, nothing to worry about. A few snakes probably, but in the lowlands, maybe some bulls, some wild bulls, not very often, but no more than that. I mean, if you see a deer or birds, what happens in Ecuador is that when the sun rises, you can hear a lot of birds. And when the sunset, at the sunset, then you can hear a lot of insects.
Right.
So the night is full of insect noise, and it's beautiful. You get into this type of karma, I think, while you're walking, because you're still listening to these insects, and it's actually very, very interesting how you travel with that.
I can't wait to experience that. And I'm glad that the race will be going through the Páramo or some sections of Páramo, because that was really unique when we were there before. I'd never seen anything like it. It was just so strange to have like really swampy type, just really moist mountaintops. It was really amazing. So I'm excited
There's
about
this one
that.
section, and it was like being on a waterbed. Like you're standing there and you're bouncing, and the whole ground is undulating as if it's like 2 feet of vegetation floating on top of water. It was the weirdest thing. You're not getting wet, but you're standing on water. And then the other thing, from a navigation standpoint, I got whacked on the first day, because in the United States, when you see a swamp, it's at the bottom. And when you see a mountain, there's no swamp. And in Páramo, you can have a swamp on the map on top of the mountain. It's not in the valley. And so I'm like navigating around this swamp. Like, why am I going uphill? And I got totally whacked. So yeah, for navigators out there, like pay attention to the topo and the swamp lines. And
Yeah, because swamp doesn't mean it's a lowland.
yeah, it does not mean it's the lowland. No.
It could be opposite. Okay, so you talked about pack rafting, and I'm sure there's going to be biking and trekking. Is there going to be any ropes in this year's race?
Yeah. This area is interesting because you can have a lot of beautiful rocky places, and also you can have caves, many caves.
Oh,
So expect some caves. We will have some caving, not so technical, but beautiful ones, and some ropes. Obviously, the rope systems in this area are going to be just amazing. And they are not just going to be this type of ropes that you have to go to the rope sections because you need to have it during the race. Actually, you will need to use them to go through. That's what we like. I mean, you need to use them to go from one place to the other. That's
so it's not just to stop in the race where you get to do something fun. It actually takes you from one place to another place.
Yeah.
Okay,
Good.
great. That's exciting. And is there any specialized knowledge you need to have before doing that? I assume a little bit of experience rappelling or doing things like that is good, but is there anything more specific?
Not really. We are gonna ask for some rappelling knowledge. Type use the gloves, but we normally want, and we really are very conscious about safety. So we really want people to know what they are doing, but we still have a good team, a very, very strong team checking you out. So if they just see that there's something that is not correctly done, they're gonna tell you. So no worries about that. the experience is more important than the technique, especially in the ropes, because we don't want any accidents.
Yeah, and maybe this is a good time to just interject that if you saw Arthur the King, the movie, there is some rope work where there is no one around and the racers are in charge of setting themselves up and everything. But rest assured, in Santi's race, there's going to be professionals there where you're, clipping in and making sure things are set up properly. You'd never have a section where there's not some oversight, correct?
Correct. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I haven't seen the movie because it's not here yet. It's gonna be but yeah, I saw some part of that. The Tyrone Traverse. Yeah, it's not happening here.
Okay, well, I can't wait for you to see it because I want to hear what you think of it. But we'll circle back around to that at the end. But I just wanted to make sure everybody knows if they've seen that movie, that part of it is not particularly realistic. So in the Huairasinchi, you won't be on your own, clipping into whatever is necessary. So.
The other thing I like too, and I've seen this the bigger races. You had when we did it, and I assume it's probably the same. The ropes people were there at race check-in, and they had us basically demonstrate how we're going to do this, and we're going to go down and we're going to do this, and they made sure we had the technique down. So if you didn't know the ropes, you learned it right then and there, and they're not going to pass you until everybody does it right and practices it. So it wasn't just here, let me look at your harness and move along. It was like we had to literally clip in and act like we're doing the thing, and so I felt like it was super safe. They took that extra time. I didn't feel rushed, and I really appreciated that. Some races you go to, it's like you just want to get in and out. There's my Mando gear, and you're off and about, moving on. And your team was really, they took the time to make sure it was done right.
Yeah. We take a lot of time, to make sure we have a good team, and they check and double check all the time.
Yep.
Great. And so you mentioned a little bit of the ecosystems we'll be in. But how early would you say teams need to arrive if there's any high altitude sections? Do you think it's important to try to acclimatize?
Yeah, this is an important point. We chose Cuenca not only because it's beautiful and it's safe, but it's also because it's a part of the Andes in the south of the country, which is not so high. So if you want to cross from one place to the other, and if you want to cross the mountain passes, you're not going to be higher than 4,000 meters, which is lower than 8,000 feet. It's lower than 8,000. It's about 8,800 feet, something like that, more and less. In some sections, you're going to have to go a little bit higher, but it's only to cross these passes. And most of the race is going to be in lower lands, probably from 1,000 meters to 2,000 meters, probably 60 to 70% of the race. So we're making sure that if you are not from an area where you are acclimatized, naturally, you can still do this race. It doesn't mean that you're not going to have some high sections. You're gonna probably go up and go down, but it's not gonna be something that is gonna take your breath. It's something that is gonna, you're gonna have to go through, and then you're gonna be okay. So if you want to acclimatize, you can arrive to Quito. Quito is at 2,800 meters. You can stay a couple of days in Quito, and then you can fly or drive to Cuenca. Logistically speaking, is pretty easy. And Cuenca is at 8,400 feet, so 2,500 meters. And you can still, with a couple of nights there, if you have a couple of nights in Quito and then a couple of nights in Cuenca, you're going to be pretty much acclimatized. Some people take longer to acclimatize. Some people get used to the altitude pretty easily. But it's not something that you should get so much worried about. I think that you have to take much more care about, get the good gear, because you're going to have all these weather changes, these climate changes. So if you have good gear, you have good changes, in your clothes, because you're gonna be cold and hot probably in the same day. So this is probably more important than the altitude.
And they always say there's no bad weather, there's only bad gear choices.
Yeah,
So
totally.
need to be ready for any type of weather and any scenario.
And I remember when we went last time, Andrea and I went a little bit early, and we tried to exercise as best we can. I think there was I don't know what you call it. There was is it a gondola? Yeah, it was a gondola that takes you up in Quito, up on the side of the mountain, right? I think it's there's like a restaurant up there at like 12,000. And if you keep hiking, you can get up to like 15 or 16,000 feet to the peak. And we did that. We like hung out in that area for a couple days. But then like our teammate Brian, like he got off the airplane, and like the next day we took him up to 15,000, and we were checking our oxygen and all that. And I mean, everything's a little slow and maybe you get a little headache. But it wasn't that bad, but like you said, everybody adapts differently. But also when we did Expedition Colorado, we spent a lot of time at high altitude for an extended period. And what we noticed is a lot of the teams were saying that they had problems staying at 12,000 feet, which is like 3650, like 3650 meters, or 3,600 meters, basically. If they stayed there, that's when people started having problems. They had to go back down. But it sounds like most of this race is below that, 3,500 meters, right?
Yeah.
Than the passes.
Yeah, totally. What happens is that if you stay long time in the high altitude, you can feel it. You can experience, the lack of breath, the headaches, and most of the time, you can only going down. You all the symptoms disappear pretty fast. So you just have to be with good hydration, with good food, sleeping when you need to sleep, and then you can recover easily. So yeah, we're gonna have a group of people, taking care of altitude sickness, but I'm guessing that in this particular race, is not gonna be a huge problem.
Yeah.
You can probably have and you can probably feel the altitude when you are up, but once you go down, everything disappears and you feel better.
Yeah.
And it's such a beautiful country. And it seems so worth that uncomfortableness just to go up there and see what it looks like. And like Chip said, we did that gondola right in Quito, and I would recommend that to anyone that goes to Ecuador, even though it's pretty touristy. It's not very expensive, and it's a great way to get high up and to see across over the city. And anyway, that said, with the race starting in Cuenca, is that where you would suggest people fly into if they're going directly to the race, or?
Yeah, Cuenca is not an international airport, so my suggestion will be to go to Quito, just because you're gonna be high too, and you can still experience this altitude, and it's also easy to fly from Quito to Cuenca. So what you can do is just go to Quito, spend a couple of days, and then fly to Cuenca. Take some time in case you want make sure your bikes come, your bags come. So it's good to take a couple of days just before to take the internal flight. So you make sure you have everything with you, and then you can travel to Cuenca. To drive to Cuenca is actually a really nice drive. It takes about, I've done this with my kids many times, and it's about 6 hours and a half to 7 hours. And you can have many stops in between beautiful places. It's just wonderful because you are traveling south in the middle of the Andes. So you will see the mountains, you will see the snow-capped volcanoes, Cotopaxi, Chimborazo. Chimborazo is the highest mountain in Ecuador. It's actually the closest place of the Earth to the sun, because we are in the equator, so it's pretty high. So it's the closest point of the Earth to the sun. So it's pretty interesting. And then you still, you keep going south, and there are many, many towns and places you can stay for one night if you want to, cut, the travel for 2 days. If not, it's only like 6 hours and a half to 7 hours. So it's very recommended. And the rentals, for example, here in Quito, they are pretty affordable. We're gonna have a good partnership with one. So you're gonna have a good deal, for renting a car, and you can return the car in Cuenca too. So you can pick it up in Quito, and then you can return it in Cuenca. Cuenca
Oh,
is
that's good to know. So that
yeah,
way, okay, see, because I was thinking about that. If you get it in Quito, you're going to go down, the car's going to sit there for 8 days and not move. But if you can turn it in and Cuenca and then pick it up again to go back, then it's super affordable. I guess the only
yeah.
problem you would have is with the bike boxes. Are there rentals that are like minivans that can handle at least, I don't know if you can get 4 bike
Most of
boxes?
the time, here in Ecuador, they can rent you pickup trucks 4x4. So what you can do is just put the 4 bags in the boxes in the pickup truck, and then you four go in the car. It's like you have to make sure all the bags fit in, but it's doable. We've done this many times.
Yeah, good.
Well, I have to mention our experience driving down to Patate with one of the drivers from the race. It was a very exciting drive. Let's just say that the drivers were fast and very good drivers. I'll say that, but I thought it was a little scary. I was glad I wasn't driving.
Yeah, it's not always like that. I think that you get lucky with a fast driver, but normally there's a big highway. We have a big highway that goes all the way south, so it's pretty safe and easy to travel down. No problem.
Yeah, and Chip drove all around. It was just that one part of the our experience there. I thought, wow, it was kind of exciting.
One of the things that's really cool about the mountains, and here in the States, like our highest mountains are in the 14,000. I'm not sure what that is, in meters. I'm sorry, 14. Yeah, 14,000. Yeah,
14,000 feet.
We have 14,000
high mountain.
And so these are high, way above the tree line and all of that. But we think it's a big deal when you summit like a 14er, and you're Colorado, and how many of these can I do? And then you get to Ecuador, and 14,000 feet is like an interstate exit. That's you get out, you get your cell phone, you're in shorts and flip flops, and you walk over and you take a photograph of a mountain that is 6,000 feet higher than you're standing. And it was like you feel like you're in the Himalayas or something. I mean, it was amazing that it was mind blowing that an interstate exit is higher than the United States' tallest mountain. So I just yeah. So
yeah, the Andes are magical. The Andes are magical. So yeah, my recommendation will be go to Quito, rent a car, drive to Cuenca. But if you want to go fast to Cuenca, you can do that too. And you can spend a couple of days before the race in Cuenca. There are many things to do in Cuenca. It's a great place to go with family. Super cool. Super great place to be.
And I was hunting around, and the first time we went there, we went to an Airbnb near Quito. I think it was in Cumbaya or somewhere in that area. And I was so surprised, like the Airbnb in this beautiful building with this great host, and I think it was like $15 per night, and then the fancy room was $18 per night. And I just looked online and Cuenca, and it was like the Airbnbs all around in that area were like $21 to $70. Many of them were like $30 a night. So there's no reason not to come early. If the car's affordable, the lodging's affordable, you need to acclimate anyway. It's a beautiful country. It's safe. Bring the family. It's way more affordable than if you went to a normal place like in the United States or even in cities in Europe. Things are just so affordable. So
you can find really good Wi-Fi, so you can work there too if you need to still work, before the race if you're with family and stuff. And my recommendation in Cuenca, if you're trying to book something there, is to try to stick to close to the downtown, because I think that most of the logistics of the race are going to happen right there. So Cuenca is not big, but try to, especially the days before the race, during the registration process, try to be closer to downtown, because most of the things are going to happen in downtown. So yeah, if you want to spend a couple of days just outside Cuenca, in Azogues, in Cañar, there's a beautiful place called El Cajas. I think that El Cajas is probably one of the highlights. close to Cuenca, beautiful system of Páramo with a lot of lakes and many trails. So beautiful place to acclimatize to. So you can go to Alcajas, you could go to Cojitambo, which is a big wall for climbing and really good climbers right there. So if you want to practice some climbing, you can go to Cojitambo. There are many places. I mean, it's just mind-blowing. You can spend not a week, you can spend a whole month with the family right there and just, still have places you cannot visit.
Yeah.
Well, some of us are going to be there during Thanksgiving. So any Americans that are going to be there, we're going to try to figure out what we're going to do to have some sort of Thanksgiving feast. And maybe we can coordinate something with any other American teams that are going to be there. But with the change of the date of the race, that threw probably some of us off a little bit. But it'll be interesting to see what we come up with to celebrate Thanksgiving, which, we just usually celebrate the thankful part of it, not necessarily that Columbus came to the United States at that time and said that he found it. But anyway, I lost my train of thought. What was I going to
Let me jump into a couple of things. We're talking about the logistics of the race. I'm on the same track.
I don't know who you are. I just remembered. You're talking about Cuenca. Could you just let us know, what about the safety there? Do you feel like it's a safe place? I know it's been a little bit in the news and Ecuador. What's going on there?
Most of the time, the news, what they do is they maximize everything because they just want to sell. So I think that this happened in a moment in the world where anything happened. So I think this was big news because it was the news. It came that week. Saying this is super safe to come. Super safe. I mean, there's no big issues. There are some places, obviously, like in every country, where you don't want to go. But if you stick, to Quito and Cuenca, you're totally fine. No problems at all. Cuenca actually is considered one of the safest cities in whole Latin America. And a couple of weeks before the race, there's going to be a presidential summit, Latin America presidential summit. So it's probably going to be one of the safest places in the world because all the presidents are going to be there. So it talks good about Cuenca. You can go walking around the city downtown at any time, even during the night, and you have more than 120 kilometers of bike paths and running paths next to the 4 rivers that cross the city. So it's just a paradise because you can be in Latin America where everything is a little bit more not so ordered. It's not like Europe or in some places in the States, but Cuenca is a paradise for that, for being with families, to have your bike, to ensemble your bike and just travel with bike around the city. You're totally safe. So no problems.
Very good. Yeah, I figured it like you said, every city's got their stuff. I mean, if you're getting drunk and running around at 2 a.m. in the morning trying to find weed, you're probably going to run into some problems. And that doesn't matter where you are in the world. But if you're safe, we look like adventure racers. We're not wearing nice jewelry and all of that. And the idea is that if you don't make yourself a target, you end up not being a target. We've traveled in these races all around the world. And we behave ourselves, but we always feel safe. We've never felt unsafe either during the race or prior or following the race. So I we were in Ecuador.
I remember Africa. Africa had the same problem. Do you remember? And with Haiti, we talked about this, and she was like, "Okay, no problem. You fly to Johannesburg, don't go around. Just take your plane and go to Cape San Francisco. You're gonna be fine." Yep. So yeah. I think that every part of the world has the same issues, especially Africa, Latin America. But Cuenca is just one of these places where you really, really feel very, very safe.
Very cool. Is there like a specific race hotel? Like if we wanted to book rooms right now to be right there in the heart of stuff, or is this you're using all the surrounding hotels and Airbnbs?
Yes, actually, we're doing this on purpose right now because we want to give the opportunity to all the Airbnbs and the small businesses to filling with all the racers that are coming. So there are a couple of big hotels, and probably we are using one of them just for logistical and headquarters purposes. But my recommendation now is to try to book what is good for you close to downtown. So find a nice place, find a nice Airbnb, find a nice hotel. There are many, and yeah, get comfortable there because everything is walking distance or yeah, a small ride in the bike.
Perfect.
And I keep doing this.
It's her first time.
No, it's not. Oh, there's still time for people to sign up for the race. There's still slots. There's
Yes, there's still slots. We are relaunching the race because we wanted to wait until this bad news just stopped being there. And there's a promotional price, the early birds price that is gonna be until the end of May. So you still have time, for the early bird price, and yeah, it's actually very affordable. If you divide registration fee by 4, and you figure out you're gonna be out there for 6, 7, 8 days, is actually pretty good.
Very, very affordable. Yes. And luckily also if a team's interested, you can lock it in between now and May 31st. Basically Sunday night, you can lock it in. You don't have to pay the full amount. There was like a portion that you pay to lock it in, I believe. And then you can pay the rest later, I think is how that works. So like, yeah, we just locked it in this week. I think it was only like $1,500 or something to lock it in. And then now your pricing is fixed, and then eventually you pay the rest later. So
totally. Yeah. That we are giving this opportunity to especially local teams and obviously international teams that want to do this. And yeah, we've been having a great response.
and how many teams are you prepared to have?
Well, it will be difficult to beat the number of Africa, but I'm guessing that we will have probably around 90 to 100 teams. And the good part is that we have a very, very big group of Ecuadorian teams. So probably 30 to 35 teams are going to be from Ecuador, which is pretty good.
it's really, really cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So during the race, let's say I get an Airbnb near the town and I'm supporting the local community. Do you have a place for us to put our luggage and other stuff while we're racing to store it, or are we on our own for that?
No worries about that. We're going to have a big place pretty close to downtown. We're figuring out if it is the hotel or if it is a municipality place, but no worries. We're planning on having this place, so you don't have to worry about your excess stuff or your extra stuff or your PJs. We can take them, we can store them until you finish the race, and then you will have it back. So yeah, we're gonna have this place also for families if they want, to just leave some stuff and then go travel around and then come back and get your stuff. It's gonna be easy.
It sounds like there's plenty for families to do while their loved ones are racing. Are there opportunities to volunteer still?
We are opening a very, very interesting and nice volunteers program. So you will have to fill a form with some questions, and there are many opportunities. So if you want to come with your family and also be part of the race, you can do it. So yeah, get ready because in a couple of weeks we're gonna, share this form and this announcement of the volunteer program that we're having.
Very good. And of course, you're going to have live tracking, right? I mean, it's like at this point, you can't not have live tracking.
Yes, of course.
It is. I'm just curious: is AR live coverage or Craig Cook, is he going to be following the race?
I don't know really, but what I know is that I've been trying every system available. It's incredible. So I've tried the yellow bricks, I've tried the spots, I've tried everything, and now we know what it works here. So I think that we're working with a pretty good system, and the platform obviously is going to be one of those platforms where you get hooked. So it's pretty cool to watch, the dot watching. So it doesn't have to have many information. It just has to have accurate information. So yeah, we're gonna have a pretty good group working on the tracking system. So it's not only for safety purposes, but also for communication purposes. So families can sit and watch the dot watch at home and be, happy about, how the teams are moving and know what is going on. And, the whole communication system, I think that, as you said, is not something that is not, it's something that we need to do. Is something that now is a must in adventure racing. So we're going to have a pretty good system. I'm confident.
Good. Well, whichever system you pick, if you have Eastwind, our friends from Eastwind in Japan, if they show up, you better be ready for that system to crash the minute Japan starts waking up in the morning. I couldn't believe like one country shut down the tracking system because of the popularity of that team. So just be ready if Eastwind is able to come this year.
I hope they come. I really hope so.
Yeah. Is there anything about the race that we haven't asked you that you want to share?
Well, let me think. I just think that this year Huairasinchi is something that we wanted to do a long time ago. We learned from our experience 10 years ago, and we want to discover the south of Ecuador. We wanted to show it to the world because we've been doing races here in Ecuador for 20 years, but we've been doing the races in the northern part. So this is a new area, new sections for everybody, because most of the teams here in Ecuador are actually from the north part of Ecuador, from Quito, from the north part. So it's going to be new for everybody. The maps are going to be just fantastic. We have this wonderful young, strong guys. They race with us in Africa, and they are excellent mappers. They love to do maps, and they are doing an amazing job. So I think that the maps are going to be just a higher level. We're going to have two sets of maps in different scales. So for bicycles, probably it's going to be 150, and for trekking, it's going to be 125. And yeah, with a lot of details, because they are working a long time in the route, making sure, they have all details, all trails, so everything is mapped. So be ready, because it's going to be fantastic.
Have you decided yet when you are going to give the teams their maps?
Yes, it's not going to be before the last night, because everybody needs to sleep.
Yes. Thank you for
Yes,
that.
I like that.
We've made that mistake before. Yeah. So it's good to have the map just the day of the race. So probably you're gonna have the map just before you start, and then you can have a small time to map, probably the first section. And then I love to give the maps in each section. Sometimes it's not possible because of logistics, but most of the race, if I can, I would love to give the maps for each section. So you will have to go receive your map, plan, do your strategy, and then go. All the maps are going to be waterproof. They're going to be plotted, so no worries about that. And the quality of the maps are going to be just amazing.
Also, I was thinking, are there going to be any options to shorten the course? So if you're not going fast enough, okay, so you could choose the shorter race yourself and just register the shorter race, or you could choose the longer race. And if you're not meeting certain cutoffs, there'll be different options for you. Totally.
And this is a pretty good question, because my philosophy here in this particular topic is that everybody should feel the finish line. So get ready to finish, because you're gonna do it. Even if you don't complete the full course, it doesn't matter. You're gonna still be there. You're gonna still experience, the race, and you're gonna still be there for many nights. So it's worth it. I mean, to cross the finish line, even if you don't do the full course, you're gonna do it. So yeah, we're gonna have some sections where you can just to the smaller one, the shorter, and finish the race.
So one other logistical question, I was trying to think of what are the things that I would be asking if I was a brand new racer and never been to Ecuador. One is when we were there, the grocery stores were like top of the line. I mean, I could find gluten-free stuff. So I don't think racers have to worry about not being able to source food in the country. So don't worry about packing 50 pounds of crap on the airplane to bring. I think you'll find everything you need in Quito. And I'm assuming in the town where, what's it called? Cuenca, is there a pretty good grocery store there where racers can source all their food when they get there?
It's gonna be mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Mind-blowing.
Perfect.
The food, the culinary experience is gonna be one of the best things in this race. It's just unbelievable. So if you're vegan, if you are vegetarian, or if you want to eat everything, there are many options for you. There's probably one of the best Italian restaurants I ever tried in my life, better than in Italy, in the downtown of Cuenca. It's unbelievable.
Wow.
Good. And then during the race, we're going to be going through small towns like we did the one time we were there, where you can get food along the way in little stores and stuff.
Yeah. This is part of Ecuador, is how it is. So yeah, you're gonna cross many towns, many local communities. Yeah, you can, in those towns you can expect to have a lot of rice, chicken, vegetables, fruits. Ecuador is full of fruits, so you can find fruits everywhere. Yeah, most of the time, most of the easiest meal you can get is chicken with rice.
Right.
But yeah, you're gonna have a lot of places to eat. So yeah,
I can't wait to have more locro. That was one of my favorite things, like a potato soup.
The potato soup. Yes.
Yeah, but it's not like our potato soup. It's much better. So I can't wait for that.
Yeah.
All right. You want to move on to that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So people that want to find out more about the race, you've got your own race website. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it.
Proyecto?
And I guess put it in the notes of the thing. So it's proyectoaventura.com.
Yeah, proyectoaventura.com.
Yeah.
But you can also go to airwc2024.com. It's available. And you can also go to Huairasinchi, which also is very difficult to spell, huairasinchi.com. So yeah, in any of them.
Yeah, so we'll make sure we put that in the notes if anybody wants, they can just click on it and go right to it. Also, you've got a pretty active Facebook page and an Instagram page, right? You can see a lot of the past race stuff going on there. What else? And you said the ARWS website has it. Yeah. Anything else people should know if they want to learn more about the race or the area?
Well, now we have this WhatsApp chat. So get in contact with us if you want to get into this WhatsApp chat. We can give you the link so you can get in. We are not sending all the official information through the WhatsApp. The WhatsApp is only going to work to make you aware that we have the official information in the website. So the website is the place where all the official information is going to be. And expect also official information in your inbox, in your email. So register and yeah, start dreaming with this, because there's still time. This is also something that is very important. Some people think that is not reachable, is not doable, but there's still time. If you are kind of in shape, or if you love the adventure, if you love to be outdoors, this is something you have to do once in your lifetime. It's just unbelievable.
Absolutely.
So how about people who want to do the race, but they don't have enough people? Like, let's say Andrea and I, we were able to go, but we don't have, our other teammates can't go. Do you have a way to connect international teams with locals that might want to pair up and team up?
Send us a message, send us an email, an Instagram message, and we are doing this job of connecting people with each other so they can find a good team. Yeah.
And we got to say, anybody that has never raced in a Spanish-speaking country, it is extremely advantageous to have somebody that speaks Spanish because our team in Ecuador crossed and Louis Bekdash like was begging us to do this race because he loves this race. He's like, guys, you've got to do it. And then randomly our teams kind of came together and we buddied up and progressed through the course. And having him along, we'd be like, where are we? And he's like, hang on, he'd blah, 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 come back. We need to go this way. It was like, this is amazing. So
Yeah, magic.
yeah.
Spanish works, but not always. I mean, you can get through, these towns, and just, with just few small words, you can get through. It's
Yeah.
easy. It's
Do
nice
we-
people, especially in the rural areas, in the mountains. It's nice people all the time. They give you things, they for free, they share, they give you a place to sleep. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
So I mentioned Arthur the King, the movie before, and maybe not everyone knows that the movie was based on a true story, and the true story happened in Ecuador, not in Haiti, where the movie takes
Dominican
place.
Republic.
Oh, I said Haiti.
It's right next door. It's fine.
Anyway.
Same island.
Same island,
Same
different
thing.
place. Either way, the real story happened in Ecuador, and I wish the world knew that. Hopefully, they'll find that out. But do we need to be prepared to adopt a dog?
Oh wow, yeah. If you want to, I mean,
There's plenty.
yeah,
Or-
there's plenty. Yeah, unfortunately, there are. Yeah, and yeah, the story of Arthur actually is a shame that he was not filmed and here in Ecuador, but it was very difficult. I know now. I know that Hollywood takes these decisions, considering budget and logistics and stuff like that. So it was not so easy for them. So yeah, they decided to do it in the Dominican Republic. But at the end, the story, or just to have a story of adventure racing in the Hollywood movie, is pretty good for everybody, because everybody knows now how it goes, how it is, what they can expect about this type of races. So yeah, we're pretty happy with that. The premiere is going to be here in April, second week. So yeah, people is excited, and we are excited, because I think that this story is pretty cool. I normally talk with Michael, because through these years, there have been many connections between Ecuador, Michael, Arthur, and us. So I'm happy to say that we're talking with Michael, and he's probably coming with family to the race. So it's gonna be cool, because Michael's gonna be here. People love Michael here in Ecuador, and the story, yeah, Arthur is gonna be always an Ecuadorian.
Yeah.
Yes. And we're funny. We did a watch party in Richmond, Virginia when it first came out, and then tomorrow, believe it or not, 11 a.m. My company, Andrea and I support people with disabilities, and so we rented out the whole theater, and we're doing a private showing of Arthur for like 75 of our employees and customers and special guests and all that. So we're going to go watch it again. It was a great movie. We're going to get kitted up like adventure racers and have our bibs on from Ecuador and all of that to welcome everybody. So highly suggest doing a watch party if you can pull that off. I think everybody really enjoyed doing it together. And then we went out for Mexican food afterward, I think, and had tacos and margaritas. So we turned it into a big party when we did it.
Yeah, we're planning on doing something like that too here.
Good.
Of course.
And
Yeah.
thank you so much for putting on the race and all the races you have done. I know that's thanking you in advance, but I know it's a lot of work and you've put a lifetime's work into it. I think that's really, really cool. And I know you like racing too. It's been fun to see you on the race course. What's your next race that you're going to be racing?
Well, that's a good question. This year, I'm not racing adventure races. I'm racing trail running races. It's just because I don't have the time, because I'm too busy.
Yeah.
So yeah, trail running races are fast, one day. But next year I'm going to be in Canada for sure. So yeah, we're planning with the team to go to Canada, and yeah, it's gonna be an amazing experience. I really want to race until my body says, stop, please. So if I can live the experience, if I have the time, if I have the body and the mind, I will keep running. No worries. For me, is not painful. To be 8 days out in the wilderness is actually part of life and part of the experience of being alive, and is a ritual. Is to get disconnected, is to give the phone and give the computer to somebody else and forget about the world for 8 days. That's what I love.
Yeah, my team knows I'm usually in tears on the last day. I don't want it to end. And it's like, and then you go through the depression when you get home and all the day-to-day life gets back in, the phone turns on and the email. It's like, oh, I just want to be back in Ecuador. I don't want to do this anymore. So yeah, I love that feeling.
Yeah.
For one last thing, real quick, everybody, or anybody that's never done this race before or is worried about international travel and all of that, the last time we did this race, and this was like Babe Ruth pointing out saying, I'm going to do this with the baseball, but we made a series on our YouTube channel called The Journey to the Huairasinchi Finish Line, and we walked through like step by step of what about the travel, what about the work-life balance. I mean, it's like this huge video series. It's basically a documentary. And even during the race and after the race and all that, and we had our highs and lows, and it was just an authentic look at what it's like to do this race. And that was back in 21. So anybody that really wants to learn more about it and see what Ecuador is like, go and check out that. Grab a beverage of your choice, get on YouTube and put yourself to sleep watching us running around Ecuador. But it's a great learning tool for people that have or just want to learn more about doing the race down there. So I just want to throw that out there. Okay, well, Santi, thanks you so much for joining us for this. This has been a lot of fun. We really look forward to coming down. I think we're gonna go to the Galapagos for a while, and then eventually meander back up to the mountains. We can both work remote, so we're looking to spend as much time in Ecuador as possible. And so
Yeah. That's fantastic. That's so cool. And now that you mentioned, you can go to the Galapagos, you can go to the rainforest, you can go to the coast, you can travel around the south of Ecuador. Cuenca is pretty fantastic place to be. Galapagos is obviously an amazing option. It's one of it should be on the top of the list because it's just one of the most amazing places on earth. So yeah.
Yep. And also, I forgot to mention Dave Ashley, famous adventure racer here in the States, is going to be down there, and I think he's doing a guided climb up. I think it's Cotopaxi, following the race, or Chimborazo. It's one of the big peaks. So if you want to do some high altitude mountaineering following the race, hit up Dave Ashley. He's on Facebook.
With Dash Adventures. And he's doing an adventure. So, we're doing the Galapagos. So if anybody wants to go to the Galapagos 2 or 3 weeks ahead of time and do that, come with us, hit us up, private message. And if you want to go climb high altitude, hit up Dave. We don't have it all worked out yet.
No,
but
we will.
We will.
Great options to join us. So there's to do in Ecuador. So while you're already down there, you already have your bike, you already have your gear, spend an extra week or two and just enjoy yourself. It's a beautiful place.
Cool. Yeah, good. Thanks. Great advice.
Thank you, Santi.
Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
We hope you enjoyed this podcast. Please take a moment to leave a rating and a comment.
If you have a question for the next mailbag segment, call 757-354-4795 and leave us a voicemail or a text with your name, city you are calling from, and your question.
To find additional content, including the video versions of these discussions, you can search for Disability Racing on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram.
We hope this podcast inspired you to focus on your abilities and plan your next adventure.
See you on the trail.